5 on your side at 10 starts now.
Last Thursday, the high temperature was 89 degrees. Today was 73. We'll talk about just how long the fall weather lasts and winter warm-up returns. That's your forecast coming up.
Tonight, the St. Louis sheriff under house arrest. The serious allegations that could lead to serious prison time. Our top story, deadly gunfire during a vigil for another victim of violence.
A space that was meant for healing and mourning was shattered by violence.
Tonight, community activists pointing to the problem.
Because obviously it's a gang war going on.
Tonight, St. Louis police are still looking for the gunman who turned that vigil in North City into a mass shooting. Good evening. I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Kelly Jackson. An 18-year-old was killed last night. 4 others were hurt. New at 10, people are telling 5 on Your Side's Robert Townsend the shootings may have been gang-related. Robert?
Yeah, Kelly, a source tells me that very well might be the case. However, right now, police are not confirming the mass shooting was related to gang activity. St. Louis community activist Precious Jones was immediately disturbed after she heard 5 people were shot and 1 killed while at a balloon release for a recent homicide victim. It happened on Wells Avenue in the Hamilton Heights neighborhood.
It's very heartbreaking, of course.
Police say 18-year-old Angelo Davis was killed. 4 other men who range from 20 to 31 years old suffered gunshot wounds. Tonight, a 21-year-old man remains in critical condition. A community source tells 5 on Your Side the shootings may have been gang-related and possibly tied to the 1600 Clara boys. Last month, citizens and neighborhood leaders said the new gang has committed gun violence and sparked fear, particularly near Clara and Dr. Martin Luther King Drive for the past year. Pastor Lee Roy owns property in the area. How bad is it?
It's really bad. It's getting out of control.
Be preventative and de-escalate the violence that's going on, because obviously it's a gang war going on.
Jones says she, her team, and other groups have shed light on the city's gang problem.
So we don't want it's a whole bunch of wars going on and people steady losing their kids. Somebody has to say stop.
Whenever there is a violent act that occurs in our community, it is incredibly alarming.
So far, police haven't said if the mass shooting was connected to gangs. They do say the investigation is ongoing.
There are people in our community that know what happened, and we need those individuals to come forward and cooperate with investigators.
Let's clean the community up. Let's sit down and talk to these, the youth that's involved in these gangs.
Police want anyone who knows anything about those shootings to call Crime Stoppers. Of course, that number is 866-371-TIPS. Live downtown, Robert Townsend, 5 on Your Side.
Tonight, neighbors in North St. Louis County are reacting after a shootout that ended with an innocent teenager dead. It happened around 6 last night in the Glasgow Village neighborhood. Police say when an argument turned into gunfire, 14-year-old DeJuan Morgan was hit by a stray bullet while sitting in his home. A 79-year-old neighbor was also caught in the middle of it.
My daughter says that bullet went just right over my head. They were coming out from both angles. They were going like this. As I was moving, I was missing the bullets.
Police say there is no information on the suspect or suspects at this time. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers, 866-371-TIPS. You can remain anonymous.
Tonight, St. Louis Sheriff Alfred Montgomery is not able to report to duty. Hours ago, a judge placed him on house arrest after new federal charges were just unsealed. 5 on Your Side's Brent Solomon breaks down the latest in the investigation and what legal experts are saying about the sheriff's mounting legal troubles. Brent.
Well, Mike, when deputies show up to work here tomorrow, they won't see the men who voters put into office. Sheriff Alfred Montgomery accused of witness tampering and a federal probe into his practices here as sheriff.
The truth is going to come out.
Sheriff Alfred Montgomery's defense attorney, moments after we learned the sheriff is now facing more federal charges. 1 count of witness tampering, 3 new counts of witness retaliation, on top of the misdemeanor charges the feds handed down more than a month ago. The FBI looking into Montgomery handcuffing a jail official who tried to block him from speaking with a detainee who accused one of his deputies of sexual assault. Authorities now say they have a phone conversation of Montgomery blasting his deputies for cooperating in that federal probe. They say he fired one deputy, placed another on unpaid leave, and demoted a third.
Employment actions were taken against people by the sheriff for very specific reasons. What they claim is witness retaliation. What the evidence will show is that is plainly and objectively not true.
It is a challenge now that he's on house arrest for him to be able to function effectively. And I have not seen this. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I don't know what comes next. I think it's all very unique.
SLU criminal justice professor Kenya Brumfield Young says the serious charges against a public official are concerning and could influence the public's trust in the sheriff's office. It comes as the state's attorney general is trying to remove Montgomery from office altogether.
The thought of people feeling that, these powers are coming in to take away our voice.
I think this is going to really have people questioning whether or not their vote matters. So when we get the next election cycle and we note that, if voter participation drops, then will we have to ask ourselves, do people feel defeated or deflated because they feel like they make a decision that is undermined by, state entities?
Today, Attorney General Catherine Hanaway said that today's charges add another layer of evidence, quote, confirming the pattern of misconduct involving the sheriff. A hearing against Montgomery with both sides presenting evidence that is set to happen on Tuesday. Now, another one of his attorneys, retired Judge David Mason, says he will step in now to lead the sheriff's office. Kelly.
Thanks, Brent. Well, tonight, President Trump's plan to send the National Guard to Chicago is on hold. A federal judge temporarily blocked the deployment today. This is after Chicago and the state filed a lawsuit to keep the troops away. Her ruling added sending the troops could spark civil unrest. The Trump administration says they're needed to curb crime in the city. The decision delays the deployment for 14 days.
Just hours from now, the man who hit and killed a mother and daughter in downtown St. Louis will learn his sentence. Monty Henderson pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree involuntary manslaughter and 2 counts of armed criminal action. In February 2024, he was speeding and ran a red light and hit Leticia Bracero and Alyssa Cordova at the intersection of 18th and Olive. The mother and daughter had just left a concert at Enterprise Center. Henderson's defense attorney is asking he receive 8 years in prison. A judge could sentence him up to 50 years.
Hours ago, developers for the controversial proposed data center in St. Louis faced the public. An online town hall addressed questions about the center planned for the vacant site near the Armory in Midtown. The developers covered the common concerns like water usage and utility rates. They cited a water system that would use 90% less water than a typical data center, and a Missouri law preventing your bills going up because of a project like this. Most attendees were not convinced and didn't like that there wasn't an answer about what company would use the center.
For you to sit there and say that you don't know who's going to move into the building, that's a lie. I don't appreciate being lied to. Nobody would spend that much time and money on a project like this without knowing who their customer is.
Another town hall will be held in person. That's on Monday. It will be at the Sheet Metal Workers Union Hall on Shodo.
Tonight, head of Boeing Defense is delivering a hard-line message to striking union workers in St. Louis. You won't get a better wage and benefits. This as the strike is in its 10th week. Machinists have rejected 3 offers from the company. In a letter on the company's website, CEO Steve Parker wrote in part, quote, "Some may convince you that holding the line will result in more money. It won't. This strike is costing you." The union responded tonight in a statement saying, quote, "This fight is about more than a paycheck. It is about respect, our future, and retiring with dignity after decades of service. Stay strong, stay unified."
An honor tonight for a Ferguson police officer recovering from a traumatic brain injury. Chief Troy Doyle recently visited Officer Travis Brown at a rehab facility in Nebraska to present him with the Blue Heart Award from the Wounded Blue organization. It's an honor for officers seriously injured in the line of duty. Brown was injured by a protester during a protest on the 10th anniversary of Michael Brown's death. Chief Doyle says TJ continues to show strength, courage, and progress in his recovery. High hopes turn to heartbreak at Enterprise Center tonight. The Blues home opener drew a packed house eager for hockey's return.
But fans left disappointed as the Minnesota Wild dominated play, handing the Blues a deflating opening night loss. The note shut out by Minnesota 5-0. Sports director Frank Cusimano will have post-game reaction live from Enterprise Center a little later in sports.
And before tonight's game, fans gathered at Union Station for a pregame rally. Both fans and the team are excited about the team's new look. They're also hopeful about the team's playoff prospects, putting last year's heartbreaking end to the season behind them.
There's just a lot of excitement and momentum around our team coming off of last year. There's a new level of confidence, and you can feel it.
I'm not going to get too ahead of myself, but we are playoff bound. We're going to the playoffs, and we're not losing to the Jets again, I'll say that.
I like that positivity. And for a look at what's new at Enterprise Center this season, text the word BLUES to 314-425-5355, and we'll send you a link.
More big sports news tonight. Within the last couple of hours, we learned that Banana Ball is coming back to Busch Stadium. The Savannah Bananas announced a St. Louis stop on next year's World Tour. They were just here in July and played before sold-out crowds. The 2026 games against the Loco Beach Coconuts are set for August 21st and August 22nd. There's a lottery to purchase tickets. It's now open on the Cardinals' website. It closes October 31st.
When it comes to wolf preservation, it's the leader of the pack.
To go from 7 known Mexican wolves to now almost 300.
The local sanctuary howling at the moon over its upcoming feature on an iconic TV show.
People of my generation remember watching Wild Kingdom.
A cold front is on the way. It's going to bring a few isolated showers tomorrow. Coming up next, we'll talk about who's most likely to receive any rain if we get any, and how warm it's going to get next week.
Tonight, a lively open house at the O'Fallon, Illinois Fire Department. A side-by-side demonstration showed the difference a home sprinkler system can make in a house fire. You can see the room with the sprinkler was saved while the room without one was destroyed.
There's nothing more important in terms of fire safety than fire sprinklers. Smoke alarms will tell you that something is happening, but a person still has to take an action. The fire sprinkler takes the action automatically.
Attendees also saw various educational displays, met some firefighters, and got some essential fire safety tips.
The Endangered Wolf Center in Eureka has been one of the leaders in conservation for more than 50 years. Founded by Marlon Perkins and his wife Carol, the center is stepping into the national spotlight, being featured this weekend in Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom right here on 5 on Your Side. Let's pause and take a closer look at the Endangered Wolf Center and the rare animals they are fighting to save. Hidden in the hills of Eureka, a team is working to bring some of the rarest wolves back from the brink.
We can't invite a ton of people out here as we're trying to make sure that these animals still have wild instincts and act like wild wolves for the chance to succeed going into the wild.
As the executive director of the Endangered Wolf Center, Ed Gauna knows the responsibility of protecting and rebuilding the wild populations.
So there's one right there.
Of these endangered species.
We have probably between 40 and 60 animals on site right now. Half of those are going to be either the Mexican wolf or the American red wolf.
With fewer than 300 Mexican wolves left in the wild, they can all trace their lineage back to this center. An extraordinary achievement in wildlife recovery.
To go from 7 known Mexican wolves to now almost 300 just speaks to the what we can do when we work together.
That impact is why the center is featured in the latest episode of Mutual of Omaha, Protecting the Wild. The show's co-host, Dr. Ray Wynn Grant.
The future of wolves in North America might depend on the future of this place.
The Endangered Wolf Center was founded in 1971 by former St. Louis Zoo director Marlon Perkins and his wife Carol. If you're of a certain age, you'll remember Perkins as the original host of
Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
The show gave viewers an early look into animal conservation.
People of my generation remember watching Wild Kingdom, and there was a lot of us that were inspired by that. And to be able to be a part of carrying on that legacy is something I think that all of us here at the center feel.
Dr. Grant and co-host Peter Gross witnessed a powerful moment. Wolf pups born at the center beginning their journey into the wild.
We took most of the birth mother's pups and flew all the way to New Mexico, where we handed them off to U.S. Fish and Wildlife staff who brought them into the den of the wild.
The center works with other endangered or threatened species like the African painted dog and the maned wolf, known for its long legs and skunk-like scent. What began as a vision decades ago still runs through this place today, where every step helps the wild find its way back home.
Getting the word out, it takes the village to be able to get it out. So we're going to be one of those voices that's out there, but to have something like Wild Kingdom, to have a larger platform to also elevate that message, because really conservation comes down to the humans more than it does the animals.
You can catch Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom Protecting the Wild segment featuring the Endangered Wolf Center this Saturday at 8:30 a.m. right here on Today and before Today in St. Louis, which starts at 9 a.m. And the center also offers a chance to hear wolves howling every Friday and Saturday night at sunset. There's an entry fee, and there's another event, the Wolf Fest, October 18th. You can find all of this in my story on KSDK.com.
I remember as a kid watching Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom with
Marlon
my
Perkins.
grandfather. That was his favorite show, and it preceded Lawrence Welk. That was his other favorite
That's
show.
right. Well, they have carried the tradition, and it's great to have this Endangered Wolf Center.
Right, in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Meteorologist Lance Blocker joins us now with the weather impact forecast, and Lance was telling us off camera, it's cold outside.
How cold he was.
It was. I got yelled at.
It's not really, it's 59?
60 now.
Okay, so
I know.
not really that cold, Lance.
Well,
Wait
I
until
was in a
December and
microclimate.
January.
Yeah, not excited about that. I'm gonna grab a few more extra jackets. This evening, I'm used to the 80s and 90s now we've had over the past few weeks. Temperatures right now, again, upper 50s to lower 60s across the region. Chilly for some of us, and some microclimates maybe feeling cooler than that across the city. All right, over the next few days, again, see, clear and chilly. It says it right there, clear and chilly overnight tonight. Morning sun followed by afternoon clouds. Maybe a few lucky locations could get in on some very light rain, but nothing heavy, unfortunately, nothing widespread either. Warming trend that arrives as we get on into next week. This is one of our high resolution forecast models. Of course, this is not what radar is going to look like first thing in the morning, but it does give us a depiction of what we can expect as we move through the day. This is starting at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Again, some scattered showers. Those are along a cold front's moving in from the northwest. As I put this in motion, it basically dies out. The reason for that is the air over our area. The dew points in the 40s and 50s. So you bring the moisture in, it runs into dry air. Of course, that evaporates very quickly. Perhaps a few isolated showers for our westernmost counties. The further east that you go, basically the chance of rain decreases substantially. As we move through the afternoon, this is now through 5 o'clock, so for tomorrow evening, looking out towards Friday night football, maybe a few isolated showers. My expectation is this forecast model is overdoing it, but maybe some light drizzle or for a few showers as we move through the evening hours there as well. And unfortunately, none of that is going to help with our current drought status. Now at a severe drought, the darker tan shaded areas, including St. Louis Metro and much of western Illinois and eastern Missouri here, again, level 3 status, severe drought. And unfortunately, in the next 5 days, no real chance of rain with it either. Temperatures do warm back into the upper 70s on Saturday, lower 80s on Sunday and on into next week as well. A warming trend last week meant that we saw temperatures in the low 90s. A warming trend as we get on into this weekend and into next week means highs top out in the low 80s across the area. But again, what we really need is a little bit of rain back into the region. And unfortunately, over the next 7 days, really the next 10 days, yeah, we got nothing. It's going to stay dry for quite some time. And we need some rain.
All right, go put on your parka so you can go outside.
Yeah.
Lance,
Here's Corey.
It was a bummer of a season opener for the Blues, an exciting night for playoff baseball, and we even have a sprinkle of high school football action tonight. Stick around, sports is up next.
And we're throwing back to the Blues' 2019 Stanley Cup victory on our 5+ streaming app tonight. Coming up at 10:30, you can watch our coverage from that glorious night. You can watch for free on your Roku, Apple Fire, Samsung, or LG TV.
The Cardinals finished 6 games under 500 and missed the playoffs. City SC will finish near the bottom of the Western Conference and miss the playoffs. We need something to be excited about in St. Louis sports this year. The Blues are primed to deliver us that excitement. It just didn't come on opening night against the Minnesota Wild. Enterprise Center was rocking for Jim Montgomery and his Blues in the pregame intros, but that energy did not last for long. 4 minutes left in the first period. Ryan Hartman gonna get free and just slide one through Jordan Binnington's 5-hole. 1-0 Wild. Shortly after, the $136 million man Kirill Kaprizov to Matt Boldy on the doorstep. 2-0 Wild after 1 period. And honestly, it just got uglier from there. The Wild scored 2 more in the second, 1 more in the third, and shut out the Blues 5-0 to spoil the home opener party and end the Blues' regular season streak of 12 straight wins at Enterprise Center. Sports Director Frank Cusimano is standing by at the rink with the post-game reaction. Frank?
Thanks, Corey. You know, I was up in the press box with an NHL scout, and I asked him, is this as bad as I think it is? And he said, no, it's just kind of weird. And it was weird because in the second period, the Blues got off 14 shots to the Wild 0, and they had nothing to show for it. They had bad bounces, they had bad breaks, but in the end, let's don't camouflage it. It was a bad performance, and if you factor in it was opening night, well, this is an all-time dud. Here's the coach after the game.
You know, it's a long season. It's a journey. It's a grind. You're going to have nights where, unfortunately, the score ends up like tonight at times. I did think for the first 2 periods, until it went 3-0, I liked our game quite a bit, you know. The execution of special teams and being at the net front, I think, is why, you know, they separated from us. I didn't like our game after that. Once it went 3-0, I didn't like the energy on our bench. I didn't like, you know, the energy that we had on the ice, and the game kind of got away from us in the third.
The good news is the Blues won't have much time to stew about this loss. They will be in Calgary for a 3 o'clock game on Saturday afternoon. A bad game is like a bad sportscast. You have to forget about it right away. I'm Frank Cusimano. Corey, back to you.
Thanks, Frank. As hockey gets its start, baseball continues to wind down. We had a pair of Game 4s in the NLDS tonight and 2 teams on the brink of elimination. It was a pitching duel for most of the Game 4 in L.A., Dodgers trying to eliminate the Phillies. The Dodgers scored their first run on a bases-loaded walk. That tied things in the 7th. This game went to the 11th. Bases loaded for L.A. again. A number back to the mound, and Orion Kerkering panics and throws it away. Dodgers win 2-1 to advance to the NLCS. Let's go up to Chicago. Cubs have to win to force a Game 5 in Milwaukee, and Ian Happ makes a statement early. The known Cardinal killer with a 3-run shot for the Cubs in the first inning sent Wrigley into a frenzy. Right now, the Cubs have a 4-0 lead in the 7th inning. How about a little Cardinals intrigue? According to a report out of an outlet from Puerto Rico, St. Louis legend Yadier Molina could be due for a return to the dugout. Molina told El Vocero he was in talks for some sort of role in the Cardinals organization. Molina was a guest coach in the Cardinals dugout for 2 series this past season. Stay tuned. Let's do some Thursday night high school football. Hazelwood West hosting Northwest Cedar Hill and their star QB Cohen Stark, and he is a star. Stark has over 1,000 rush yards and 19 touchdowns this year. He adds to both those totals. He'll score on the ground, 6-0 Lions. He can sling it too. Stark finds Adam Banks, who crashes through defenders down to the 1-yard line. Northwest wins big, 49-6. Zumwalt North and Zumwalt South. North going to start things off. Philip Arpazzi on the keeper. Panthers pounce on top. Later on, North from just a little bit longer out. Arpazzi's going to pitch to Jaden Burleson, who hits the gas. He's going to be gone for 6 more. North rubs it in on their rivals from South. Panthers win 42-6. I tell you what, Enterprise Center was so ready tonight.
Yeah.
It
As
just
Frank
didn't
said,
happen.
that's a dud.
It was a dud.
Yeah.
You can't describe it anymore
No.
better than that.
Frank, thanks. Corey, thanks.
Love is in the air in the Wild, and it could have drivers screaming, oh dear.
Tonight, police in an Ohio town have released officer body cam footage of a pumpkin pursuit. It shows them chasing a big inflatable on foot. They kept blowing away. They finally squashed the situation and returned the giant gourd to its home. Tonight, the Missouri State Highway Patrol is warning drivers to beware of lusty deer.
Mating season is getting underway, which means those Randy Bucks and And does won't let your car get in the way in their quest for love. Last year, Missouri recorded nearly 3,000 crashes involving deer. That equates to nearly 3 deer strikes every 3 hours. Prime time for these wild collisions are between 8 and 9 p.m.
All right, as we mentioned earlier, Lance went outside.
Yeah.
It's 59 degrees when he went out there.
Chilly.
He's cold.
And he
It's
said
chilly.
he was cold.
It was chilly. There was a slight breeze. It's a
And-
microclimate.
And you know, in a couple of months, it'll be a lot colder than that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we work from home here? All right,
I don't think
temperatures
so.
into the low 80s next week, so we'll all enjoy the nice warm weather.
Yeah,
Pleasant.
it looks more like summertime. There you have it, 5 on your side at 10. We're always streaming on 5+.
Start your day with Today in St. Louis. That starts at 5 a.m. Have a great tomorrow.